Since Assassin's Creed reinvented itself with AC Origins, Ubisoft's historical open world franchise has become a deeper and more fulfilling experience. It now incorporates loot and levelling up your gear, a satisfying combat system, and a plethora of options to build not only your assassin up, but the army around them. Regardless of these changes, the core feature that has always made the series fun to play is its attention to the history of our world, and the realism in these time periods it portrays. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is out in a month, and whilst the gameplay is sublime, it is the attention to detail that really took my breath away. I recently spent a good 7 hours exploring Mercia in the 9th century, meeting historical figures from the times of the Vikings whilst trying to remove a king from his throne, so my people could gain a foothold in the region. During this time in British history, England was split into different kingdoms, with Mercia being one of the most powerful in Anglo-Saxon England. If I had been around back then, Mercia would have been my kingdom, given it encompassed much of Middle England, including my hometown of Derby. During the Great Heathen Army's reign in England, much of its Danelaw took over Mercia, with the Vikings using not only their brute strength but their brains to secure an albeit short future within the kingdom. During my time with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I travelled through Repton and Tamworth, two places very close to where I live, trying to cement a new king as the leader of Mercia, known as Ceolwulf. As Ivor, I worked alongside three of Ragnar Lothbrok's sons, Sigurd, Ubba and Ivar. The attention to detail and of the three sons is superb, however, there is a lot of free rein when it comes to what they look like and how they acted. Because the Vikings were illiterate, much of what we know from these times was taken from a mix of the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, a document kept by the British to detail their raids and journeys to our land, burial sites and archaeological discoveries, and sagas, stories written by the likes of historians such as Snorri Sturluson decades later. Due to having a passion for their history, I was fascinated by how Ubisoft has stuck to the source material and tried to create a living and breathing world that centres around the Norsemen. From the weapons they used to the way they fought, Valhalla provides an authentic experience and a fascinating insight into them. The 7 hours I played allowed me to see how the new ration mechanic worked, as well as the new dual wielding mechanic. Health is replenished by collecting foodstuffs throughout rural England, and by pressing a direction on the D-pad, you can use this supply of food to fill up your health bar. You can upgrade your supplies so that you can store more food, and this definitely improves your chances as you fight the Saxons and other Viking factions. Dual wielding allows you to use a selection of axes, blades and shields at the same time, and the options in combat makes fighting multiple enemies an engaging and brutal battle. You get to use light and heavy attacks, but well-timed parries open up the chance to use special attacks, and by holding in the right trigger you can unleash a selection of special moves that can be changed as you unlock them. One sees you throwing a spear with a rope attached, allowing you to pull enemies closer to you, and another unleashes a flurry of axes into multiple foes in quick succession. Your ranged attacks also have plenty of uses. By holding in the left trigger you can fire multiple arrows at the same time, or even use your raven to distract enemies as they fly down and peck at their heads. Whilst playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla at a previous event, I got a feel for the combat, but this time I already had an idea how it worked, so I was able to mix up the way I fought and got a real sense of how each attack flowed in tandem with one another.
Away from me!
I adore how raids work in Valhalla. Travelling down the channel in my longboat and picking a settlement to raid is simply enough to do. And once you blow your own horn and lead the charge, raiding monasteries to pillage gold and other forms of wealth helps to build your dominance in that area. Leading my men into battle makes you feel like such a badass, but the most fun I had was when I had to penetrate fortresses and castles. These are much bigger battles, and the amount of enemies you face is staggering. They feel like mini wars. Hundreds of arrows fly through the air, warriors are fighting all around you, and bloodshed is frequent. The familiar stealth elements are still there, but fighting face on is by far the best thing about fighting in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I also got to see other minigames this time around, like taking part in a 9th century rap battle to build your charisma.
You're a misfit, a half-wit, a foolish old grouse.
You're no better than a rat that I would evict from my house.
No sense of timing.
This one is no match for you, young elf.
I'm the greatest of flighters, a master of verse.
Rhyming with wordsmiths and beating them means that when it comes to bartering or talking to NPCs later in the game, you'll likely be more successful in getting what you want. I also made a huge effort to find all the treasures within Leicestershire, and that involves solving environmental puzzles to find everything. These include finding actual treasure as well as books of knowledge, which unlock new skills for you to assign to the 2 trigger buttons. Visually, Assassin's Creed is stunning. Travelling across the vast landscape of Mercia saw me appreciate the natural wildlife, the green fields and farmlands, and the rivers. The towns and villages are filled with huge towers and buildings ripe with materials to loot, helping to upgrade your gear in a multitude of ways. The fortresses are huge structures packed to the rafters with soldiers, but there are also plenty of hiding places and high walls to unleash some inventive attacks, such as the one found in Templeborough. The character animations are also fantastic, and the voice acting accompanying them makes everyone you interact with an interesting ally or a fearsome enemy. Ivar Ragnarsson is notorious for being a sadistic warrior, and from the moment you encounter him torturing a Saxon in Repton, it's clear Ubisoft know their stuff. Being allowed to be let loose in Assassin's Creed Valhalla gave me the opportunity to get a feel for the flow of the game. I completed the story arc, but I also got to see everything else on offer. Roaming the map and finding treasures to getting into fights and exploring every nook and cranny opened my eyes to just how big this game is going to be. I've barely scratched the surface, but I managed to formulate the opinion that Ubisoft's latest entry into the Assassin's Creed franchise was dense yet thrilling, providing plenty of variety in its combat and a world ripe with adventure.
Hey, Adam from GodIsAGeek.com here. Thanks for watching our Assassin's Creed Valhalla preview by Chris White. You just heard his voice there. That was him speaking. What a world we live in. If you enjoyed this video though, make sure you subscribe, that's important. Make sure you click the bell button so you never miss another video. And if you would like to support us even further, you can go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, where you can find some tiers that might be of interest to you. You want to get the podcast early in video form and in audio form? That's a $1 or £1 tier. Fancy getting an exclusive Patreon-only podcast? $5 tier. $10 we do exclusive videos. There's a private Discord for us, which has got a wonderful community forming, actually. We're really proud of that. Everyone seems to help each other. It's just a lovely atmosphere. That's patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. Thank you so much again for watching this video. Thanks to Chris for playing a lot of Valhalla, and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.